Hey, this is DeagleBeagle. So today we're going to talk about how the metagame is shifting in Series 2 and what you can do about it, and the best of all these things. So, the metagame, let me just talk about how it started off. So, the Series 2 metagame started off with um, a bunch of random paradox Pokemon being tried out, um, and things that were successful from San Diego and other recent regionals. So, for example, um, Arcanine with Wi Wisp. Well, that wasn't necessarily out of reach. I think it probably was in some tournament. I don't know. Garganacl. There was Iron Hands and Fluttermane, other Pokemon. I mean, pretty much a lot of that's not going to change, but some of it will. So, how it's shifting already is, and there happened to be a lot of ground weak Pokemon, and people used few immunities or resistances to it. How the metagame's already shifting, I would say, is there is tending to be more counters to the above mentioned stuff and less Pokemon that are weak to those, to the most common Mons. So you're seeing more misty terrain, Lum. You see other things to beat with Terra Fire, Clear Amulet, Defiant, Covert Cloak, etc. So that's the main thing to take away from all this right now. I don't know if that many other significant trends that I've noticed, but the stuff that's easy to counter are the non-attacking moves or the moves that don't do a lot of damage. Like it's easy to counter Salt Cure, to counter Will-O-Wisp, to counter Intimidate, but to actually counter a very offensive team with good versatility and coverage, that's hard. So the meta is mostly just shifting to cover the stuff that's easier to counter by having a certain item or this or that. So let's get into all these things. The best tailwinders. Well, some of these Pokemon aren't traditionally used as tailwinders, but I suppose they could be. Like Volcarona could be used for it. Roaring Moon is often used for it. Talon, where's Murkrow? What's over here? Yeah, Murkrow is used for it. Talonflame is used for it. Pelipper and Salamence are used for it. Fletchinder, like nobody uses, but you could use it for that. I wouldn't use Staraptor for that. I would personally say Scarf is the only way to make it top tier. I hope I'm not being closed-minded in saying that, but I just think you're trying to outspeed them in Final Gambit before they attack you. And Staraptor may not be quite as good as it used to be. Well, it depends. If you have open team sheets, you can know when to switch it or not, like know whether you should lead it or not. But it can't just lead as often as it used to. So I'd say it's a little worse in Series 2, but not that much worse. But I'm not going to really go over all the tiers right now. I'm more focused on saying the best this, the best that. So the best tailwinders, I would say, are the priority ones. So Talonflame slash Murkrow, um, and even uh, Fletchinder, if you're just trying to get Tailwind up. But it depends on what you mean by best. If you mean um, a fast tailwind, like a priority tailwind's going to be objectively better than all the other kinds of tailwinds just for the tailwind part. But you have to take a Pokemon as a whole. Now, the best Trick Roomers are going to be, depends on what you mean by that. Probably Pokemon that are good at setting up Trick Room, but also they do well at other things. Or maybe they're just the top tier Pokemon that learn Trick Room. So I'd say Indeedee slash Hatterene slash Frigg slash Armarouge, and there might be a few more. That's mostly it. I'm trying to think if there's even any more than that. No, I would say the best ones. It depends on your team, but I'd say it's either Frigg or Indeedee. So it just depends though. I'd say Frigg's probably the best one. It's just really bulky and I don't know, Armor Tail is just really good, but Indeedee is good. Well, Indeedee is really good also, I should say, but it has less. It seems like it has less bulk, but maybe it's still really good with its ability. The other ones are probably more ideal for not using Trick Room and just attacking with it. So I'm gonna say Indeedee and Frigg. Um, so the best fake out immunities are are the ghost Pokemon. So Goldango, Fluttermane. I mean, they're all really tied, I guess you could say. But I'm just gonna list the ones in the top tier. Ape. Um, by the way, Terra Ghost is second place because you have to Terra for it. But there are some Pokemon, like I've seen it with Grimmsnarl used in a recent tournament. Gengar. Even though Gengar is usually outclassed by Fluttermane unless you really use Haze or the Sludge Bomb. I think it'd be mostly for the Haze though. I wouldn't use Gengar without Haze because if you are, it's like what are you using it for? You would only be using it for Sludge Bomb and Haze because like pretty much all the other moves that Gengar gets, Fluttermane gets, and it's usually better. But Haze is really good for countering Dondozo and stuff. And then, where was I? Ghost Pokemon, Sableye. I should actually say those two, remove the asterisks, and say um, and in second place. Okay. By the way, we need to go back to the Tailwinders. Um, second place, not Palace, are like Roaring Moon. Even though I don't know if you should consider them a Tailwinder in the sense that they pretty much have to use Tailwind to be good, because you don't have to have Tailwind with a lot of these Pokemon that learn it to be good. Like, you don't need it with Ments or something, for example, necessarily. Roaring Moon slash Salamence slash Pelipper slash some other unpriority one. Volcarona. No, not this one. Volcarona. Are there any other tailwinders I'm missing? I think those are the main ones. Yeah, because the other ones are priority. Okay, and then the best Mons out of the, well, actually, first, the best fake out immunities. That depends on your team. These are all out of the top uh, tier list. Let me put that. These are out of the top tier, well, I should say top tier potential list, or just top tier list. Um, Inner Focus. Which Pokemon get it again? Dragonite. No, it might want to run. It might want to run multi-skill, but yeah, that Indeedee, Mudsteel, Frig, Frig, Indeedee, Mudsteel slash Dragonite. I should just say top tier potential list. Um, it I don't think hardly any of these ones have top tier potential. The only ones that have top tier potential are the ones in top tier or great tier. But the Pokemon in great tier typically don't have enough potential to be on top tier unless they're used in like Trick Room or they're a weather setter or something or rely on weather. So I'm looking for more inner focus or ghost Pokemon, but I don't think there are any. Nope, I don't see them. Sorry, Ledge, no way. Focus. I don't see any inner focus Pokemon either. Alright, I'm gonna say the best mons in the top tier list are. Maybe I'll get to that one later. Well, I could go to it. And I've tried to put them up top, most of them. So there might be more than I'm missing. It really depends on your team. So I shouldn't say they're like the top of the top tier. And who knows? There may be other Pokemon that are actually higher tier. But I feel like Iron Hands, Goldango, Fluttermane, Dondozo, Tatsugiri, the two Defiant Pokemon are among the best. After that, I feel like most of them are significantly worse, but that may be right or wrong. I just think it's really important to. Well, I just think these Pokemon are really hard to counter. Fluttermane is maybe not super hard to counter, and you can counter these Pokemon, but they just have like really good stats, or they just have a lot of good redeeming qualities about them. Now, what's the next thing on the list? I'd say Iron Hands, um, Goldango, Fluttermane, Tatsugiri, Dondozo, um, Ape, and King Ambit. Okay, there are other Pokemon, but I feel like Amoonguss, even with OTS, they can still switch in enough resistances, I mean immunities to Spore and shut you down. Now, the most used mons, I'd say Iron Hands and I don't know, Goldango is used a lot. Fluttermane, Iron Bundle are very used. Roaring Moon is used too. I mean, there's lots that they're all kind of used a lot, but those ones stand out to me as among the most used. Oh, Arcanine used a lot. I think Arcanine's overrated now because everyone's trying to counter it. Most overrated Pokemon? Um, it's hard to say Arcanine. but with everyone trying to counter it, it pretty soon will be. I will say the most overrated, um, Iron Bundle is not quite. Iron Bundle is well, misses Hydro Pump a lot. And then, what other Pokemon are really overrated? Probably ones in my great tier list. Let's look at that. But other people would say are top tier. Mm, most of the overrated Pokemon aren't used that much, though. If you look at these, I think it's mostly just Iron Bundle that stands out to me. I would say a lot of the sucky paradox Mons that people are testing out, I would say, and that's why they're overrated because they don't know that they're not that good yet. I would say, hey, Dragon's not really used enough to say that it's overrated. I would say nothing's really that overrated that I can think of. I wouldn't say there's very many overrated Pokemon. Rotom W isn't used that much, so I can't really say that that's overrated. I would say Arcanine a little bit. Arcanine. But that's not to say it's bad. It's still top tier. It's just not nearly as good as it used to be. Now, most underrated Pokemon. There's a lot more that I think are underrated. Gallade is underrated. Hatterene. Same Pokemon as Series 1, basically, except some Pokemon have gotten better in Series 2. I'd say Sandy Shocks is pretty underrated. I'd say all the ground Pokemon. Donphan, Mudsdale, um, Iron Treads, even though it's not great, it's still underrated. Oh, by the way, Garganicle's overrated too. Everyone's trying to counter it. And even if you don't have specific counters for it, like just having a hyper offensive team counters it. And then overrated Pokemon also Amoonguss because they can easily counter that if they try, but you will catch a lot of people that don't put enough counters to Spore on their team. That's mostly it that stands out to me. I would say underrated Pokemon, Sylveon, Grimmsnarl. It's done really well with screens. It won the last tournament with screens. I'm like, no one's using like any screens counters or not really preparing against screens. So maybe it's time to bring back a screens team. Um, overrated. Oh, overrated Mons might be the weather Pokemon that get kind of outclassed. I mean, just not good in Series 2 anymore. But they're not really that overrated though. Torkoal and the other one's not even used that much. Torkoal, Pincursion, and yeah, they're not really overrated. And then that's probably good. Then I would say the best weather users are not sun, not rain, because they just get countered by like freeze dry or other things. And sun, because Pelipper used to have really good defensive timing with all the iron bundle. I don't know. And then sun boosts their photosynthesis. So I would say, what else is there? Snow. There's, what am I missing? Oh, sand. So sand and snow are the best. Okay, so well, I guess I'll leave that. I'll just reverse the order and put in parentheses. So the best intimidators are Tauros Fire, Arcanine, Star Raptor, Salamence. I would say it used to be last series it was probably Tauros Water, but the metagame has shifted a lot and there's a lot more fairy type attacks and there's also way more freeze dry. So I would use probably Tauros Fire, Arcanine, Star Raptor, or Salamence personally. Up to you. And the best priority users, uh, Scissor, Dragonite, what else? Sucker Punch, King Ambit, Meowscarada, the Sucker Punch. There's Talonflame. I'm not going to count the sucky little hits from Pokemon that are unstab. Um, I'm gonna mostly count the stab ones. Um, Aquajet, Azumarill. Now, there any other I'm missing? Fletchinder. Fletchinder, I suppose, but it doesn't have that much offense with it. And then, let's see. Mach Punch with Breloom. I would say Mach Punch with Breloom. Hmm. I mean, Grimmsnarl can use Sucker Punch, but it probably wouldn't want to use it. That's mostly it that I can think of. There is that Jet Punch Pokemon. I suppose I can put it here. The what is that Pokemon? How am I blanking out on it? No, it's Palafin. Palafin, but not top tier. On a rate, nah. I mean, it's among one of the best, but I wouldn't really recommend it. It takes rain and all these resources. Okay, best fake outers. I would say Metacam and Iron Hands and, well, not Hariyama anymore. What other fake outers are there? There's Grimmsnarl. There's Sableye. Slazzle's not that good. I know I made a video of it before. Fake out. Who learns it? Calibird. That's funny, but not Iron Bundle. Um, yeah, not a lot of good Pokemon. Pawmot, but not top tier unless on a Dondozo team, as far as I know, unless there's some other way to make it like top tier potential. Um, Screen setters, Grimmsnarl, Sableye, and Dragapult. That's about it. And then best redirection users, I have that memorized. I would say Mousehold and DD are the best. Second place equals Rage Powder Mons like Amoonguss, Volcarona. Are there any other Rage Powder users that have top tier potential? I can't even think of any. But those are used, that's why those are used so much, because there's not a lot of other redirection you can use. Yeah, I think it's just those. And then Best ground attackers, I would say Great Tusk, Dawn Fan, because it has sturdy and you can use Lum and Fire with it. And then Iron Treads is good for countering Goldango, Garchomp, even though there are tons of Flutter mains around, so I don't know about Maybe that's why we haven't seen like any Garchomp. I was wondering why we weren't seeing it. And then I used Garchomp, like, wait a minute. That's got to be why, because there's so much Flutter main. And then Redirection users. Um, I would say, I guess I could say Storm Drain, Gastrodon / Tatsugiri. And then best ground attackers, I already put that. Oh, and Mudsdale. And then best Sasher. But Mudsdale is really only top tier only on a TR team. Let me try to find the other Mudsdale. Only top tier on a TR team. Okay. Now, best Sashers. Fluttermane's a good one, because it has low defense. Gallade is another good one, low defense. Breloom, probably best. It was really good with Scarf in Series 1, but in Series 2, there's so many fast Pokemon, I would make it Sash. And you can't use loaded dice or whatever, because you'll die in one hit, and it's not going to add that much to you. Okay, that's worth it. Yeah, I'd rather have a Sash with it. And then Dragapult, no. Great Tusk is really good with it because it has the defenses drop and has low special defenses. Like, might as well Sash it maybe with Terrafire for Will-O-Wisp. And then you could use actually Garchomp with Sash too. You could use, you would try to not use it with it because you would hope that you could use its bulk to make it survive, but maybe you could, or use Assault Vest. I don't know. And then Gengar, of course, Meowscarada, Medicam, Glamora, a lot of Sashers. Mousehold even. Uh, eh, Depends. You might want to actually, but not if you used Beat Up or need an offensive Pop Bomb. Actually, it's probably not the best Sasher, but it depends on your set. It might be. And then, what else? You might want Sash on. Well, Armarouge it might be okay. Indeedee. Volcarona, possibly for a rock move. But you would probably just want to try to avoid the rock moves and give it defense. And then, I mean, Talonflame, but it's like, why would you use Sash with, I don't know. I would probably just use you could even use Eviolite. I use Eviolite with Flesh Ender before I use Sash Talonflame, I think. Pelipper, you could use Tyranitar with it, but I probably wouldn't. That's mostly it. Okay, and then the best Tailwind powerhouses. I would say Goldango's one. It depends on what you need, speed or do you need just power? I'm gonna just pretend like we for sure outspeed them, even though that's not necessarily the case. Flutter Mane is good. I mean, really anything. Great Tusk is excellent. Roaring Moon's pretty good. Garchomp. And maybe Gallade. That's good enough for now. I think. I mean, maybe Meowscarada with, um, but it could die though. I don't know. Maybe Meowscarada with Choice Band. Gengar's pretty good too, but it may lack coverage in this meta, so I don't know. And Goldango is usually Terra Steel now, so this is probably good. Best Trick Room powerhouses, I would say Torkoal, Iron Hands, Hatterene. Well, King Ambit's pretty good for Defiant on a Trick Room team. And then, oh, did I say best Weather Mons? Yeah. Okay, up there. And then, who am I missing? I think we're missing Mudsdale. What else did I use? Stuff that beats Iron Hands, maybe, or let's see. Camerup's alright. Those are probably the best Pokemon, and that's why I use them. So it's hard for me to think of something else because there's not a lot of great Pokemon in Trick Room, in Hard Trick Room. I suppose Dunsparce could be pretty good. I don't really use that anymore. I've been using the same Pokemon in Hard Trick Room. And there's very few Pokemon that are good for Hard Trick Room, but I think I found among the best ones. So that's what I pretty much use. Torkoal, Iron Hands, Hatterene, King Ambit, and Mudsdale. And I use like a Farig. So these are probably among the best. Did we go through everything? I think we did. Okay, thanks for watching this video. I'm going to upload some more guides on how to use certain Pokemon that I think are underexplored or underrated. I'll probably do, no, I already did one on all the Paradox Pokemon. So I'll probably do it either to update that or there's got to be some Mons that are really underrated. I know Donphan's one. So stay tuned for the next videos. Thanks for watching.